just in our final budget revision on that, assuming that we stay in this building, will be open 5 days from now.
We're going to take the slow route down to Kingman, Arizona, and then bike out to Oakman. It's a ghost town out there that used to be a gold mine, and they pulled the rest of the and then I called the boroughs.
I heard there was debate.
So the boroughs just go in and out. Believe me, if it would fit on my motorcycle, the babies are so cute. But you know, you're going into these really nice shops and stuff in this ghost town.
You're talking about the emergency room, not my house, right?
You know,
not my
some people don't feed them, and they're just,
and
they never left. They've been there for, you know, wow. Well, where's my brother just got a motorcycle, so he was like, oh, for my birthday.
Okay. You ready to start? 6 o'clock. Call the meeting to order. Well, first we'll do, okay, public comment before we do roll call. Okay, anybody have any public comment? Yes. Sarah, right here.
At the Memorial Fest, the Historical Society would like to put a historical plaque marker on this building to commemorate the Red Club and the renovation. And I thought this had already come up. I was not supposed to handle this, and I thought it had already come up to the historical, to you, and found out today that it hadn't been. The problem is we're going to be on a deadline. It takes about 5 weeks to get that historical plaque marker. It would be similar to the one we put on Marshall House last year. So
where would it go?
We would work with Stephanie and Brian, and or you or the board.
Facilities committee.
You guys have, facilities. You got, anybody have any objections?
Can we wait until we talk about it, since this is public comment? We're not supposed to.
Yeah, well, that's right. We can't make a decision. Okay.
Wait, actually, Ruby, the Russian River Memorial Fest is on the agenda.
Oh, is it? Yeah, okay, but I don't know if he'll bring that back.
Okay, well, if he doesn't, we will.
Well, okay, thanks.
Okay, yes, who's next? Yes, you next.
Hi, this is just for the safety committee.
Yeah.
Your car bumper out here, the one that's askew, the concrete one?
Yeah.
Dangerous. I tripped on it, had a really bad fall.
The one, okay.
Well,
I mean, maybe it can they be painted so they don't match?
Are you talking about the cement blocks with the cars?
The curves. Yeah, the curve. There's one curve that's crooked and blends, and I went right over it and
we'll take care of it.
and one of the
I want to remind everybody we're in public comment.
Yeah.
So we don't talk amongst ourselves.
I have a public comment.
That's not appropriate.
I'll never remember it, but
I'll remind you in the board reports.
I had a comment about the cement blocks up there that hurt somebody's car.
Well, then, reserve it for
But can I have a public comment?
No, okay.
I think he's the board director when he says something.
No, you're in board comment.
You can't revoke
You have your own time.
Can he respond to me?
No, you can't. We just listen to you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Any other public
That's why there's
comment?
no back and forth, right?
No. That's the song.
One way, then later.
One way, yeah.
Is there any other public comment? Okay, so we'll go to roll call. All 5 board members and our administrator are present. And we need 2 approvals. Agenda of April 8th and wait a minute, approval of tonight's agenda and approval of the minutes of regular March 11th meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with a change, and that is under action items, there will not be an expenditure approval vote for last month's.
Okay. We got that. Okay. And so you made a motion for the agenda. Second?
I'll second.
Gene, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now we need a motion to accept the minutes of regular meeting March 11th.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Kathy, motion, maybe second.
Second.
Katrina? All in favor? All opposed? Okay. Old business conflict of interest code amendment. Decision on Form 700.
And, you know, we talked about it, and
Right.
the only thing I noticed out of that meeting after doing the minutes is that no decision was really made. It won't be adopted by the Board of Supervisors, but I kind of wanted, like, what have you decided? Are we going to have the board and Dawn as a contractor and our attorney, or, yeah.
I thought it was just the board and our
Decide.
attorney, and you. So I thought, because otherwise
Okay.
we're bringing everybody in. I think it's-
How
I
about
think
comment?
the simpler, I think the
We
simpler,
discussed it amongst ourselves.
I think the simpler we do it, I mean, I've been on other boards and we keep it real simple, otherwise everybody's gonna be involved.
Yeah, I was under the impression we had pretty much gone that direction.
That's-
Okay, I wasn't clear.
What the
Okay.
law says is that if they have an influence over financial decisions, then they should be fired.
We have contacted our attorney and got a response back from him that it was entirely necessary, and that was sent to the entire board, Mr. O'Reilly's response. So it's just, but basically what we have, I mean, we've been going around and around with this for months, and I thought it was concluded last time.
That's what I thought too.
I was going to go back and look at the minutes.
I didn't hear the real, maybe it was third or
Well, I
one.
think it was a little bit on hold as to what the.
Right.
But that will do waiting to see what.
Like I say, I'll go ahead and do all these revisions. We can approve them ourselves anytime, so I can put it on next month's agenda just for the vote and to do it. But, like I say,
If I remember yours, I think that what happened after, because our last meeting last month was after the board, so there was a meeting and discussion. And I think you commented that nothing was going to happen for about 18 to 24 months, and that whole thing, so we decided.
as far as that.
To keep where we are now, and, because we're completely in our requirement, and then maybe adjust down the line. But
Okay.
thought
That's fine.
it was done that.
Okay, so no decision. Okay, next is, Gene, you can talk. Changes to standing committee rules and bylaw.
Well, we got the name of the committees. Or, the only real changes with the committee names is we're changing in the bylaws, marketing and public outreach. That what it's always been called. And then adding safety committee, because that's not in here. But everything else will be the same.
And then are we going to put in the bylaws what constitutes a committee?
Yeah,
and
we-
two board, so we're gonna update the
Two
bylaws?
two board members, has to be two board members, or it's just a meeting.
Right.
And you have to take minutes and, just a discussion, excuse me.
So is there gonna be lingo, language typed up, and then the next meeting will approve the bylaw changes?
That's a
Yeah.
very good question.
Yeah, we'll do that.
So you're going to get that to me?
Yes.
My question about safety committee is, to the best of my knowledge, you were the only board member on the safety committee.
No. Very
Are
nice.
you on it as well?
Very nice.
Great, okay.
All right?
Good deal.
Okay. So, new business elections, issues to address. Okay, we have the deadlines. Past board decisions has always been, if you want to have a candidate statement, you pay for it yourself, the board does not. That's the way we've always done it. And then the forms of resolutions. So, my question is, who is up? You two are up? Okay. And then you know the deadlines to file?
I have no idea.
Yeah, there's,
It's like the second week of August, where we can find out what happens.
Where does that information live?
County,
County Election Department.
we should make it very well known what the deadline is, and put out maybe on our website, and talk about it a little bit publicly, so we can get more people to run.
And what's the cost of candidate statements?
200 English only, 400 for English and Spanish.
So, the election deadlines, does anybody have the exact deadline? If not, we'll bring them to you. July and August.
I can find them. I got them somewhere.
Okay, with board decision, we're still going to stay with the responsibility of the candidate to pay for their own statement, right? And then the forms and resolutions, that's all when the time comes to pass it. Okay. Now, co-sponsorship agreement, decision to standardize formalized co-sponsorship agreements. What's that?
Does that have to do with,
I think it came from, most recently, the Memorial Day fest, where flyers went out before the board had been approached to be a co-sponsor for the big festival that's going on, and the location was put down. where the event's going to be before it was secured through the district. So I think it brought up some red flags and questions of all of the community groups that, that we co-sponsor events with, that we have to make it some form official that that's what we're doing. An example is when the Chamber of Commerce puts on the 4th of July event, there is a use agreement that's signed by the MRRPD and MRCC that states that they're co-sponsors. So if we're going to co-sponsor this, which of course we'll discuss it, this Memorial Day thing, it needs to come through the board, and we need to be asked first before it's just assumed that that's the way it's going to be. And so there needs to be some sort of, I don't know if it's a facilities agreement, I don't know what we do or how we go about doing this, or it's just an agreement that's on paper, but we need to approve what we're co-sponsoring.
What does the board require for co-sponsorship?
What is co-sponsorship?
The chamber, well, that's the whole point. I don't think it's always been very, who knows. I know with the chamber for 4th of July, we have exact expectations as far as our income and our expense and our accounting for it and what our agreements are. We don't seem to, like, oh, we are co-sponsoring. I mean,
There needs to be some
there just needs to be a
formalized
formal
standard.
agreement. And why are we co-sponsoring it?
Well, there's so
what's
many
our
other,
purpose
there's
for the
insurance reasons, liability reasons, you just can't put someone's name on a flyer and say they're a co-sponsor of an event if they don't even know what the event is or that they've even been asked to co-sponsor.
What's the next event?
And how does this interact with the MOU process and memos of understanding with various groups, which is what you have in the chamber?
Even something like that, there's not an MOU with the Monte Rio Chamber of Commerce. But specifically the Friends of Monte Rio, this event we're specifically talking about is, according to Mr. Ramsey, it wasn't a Friends of Monte Rio event. And so, and the Friends can't just put that we're co-sponsors on this event, at least not telling us. I mean, we're absolutely going to co-sponsor, I would imagine, a Friends of Monte Rio event because they're the Friends of Monte Rio helping the district. But other organizations can't just put their name. And so we need to set a precedent, a policy that puts into place that's really simple, but the board needs to affirm that these are the direction we want to go in and we want to sponsor these events.
It's interesting that you say the Friends of Monte Rio, because what I wanted to, as a public comment to open up with was a little video clip that I put together of the 6 events that the Friends of Monte Rio put on this last March. And because of that, we are looking to enter a different type of relationship, actually. I want to propose that on next month's agenda, we come up with we will be proposing, Friends of Monte Rio will be proposing a blanket contract for the year for all of our events.
And you'll list all your events.
We'll list, well, all the ones, yeah, that will be covered by blanket, yeah. I mean, we've got, but, yeah.
That sounds very reasonable.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
That's perfect. That's exactly what we're doing.
And then we put all of that in the contract. We wouldn't need an MOU. We wouldn't need co-sponsorship. We don't. You said co-sponsorship, but we're not using. We're not saying that you're co-sponsoring any of our events, actually.
Well, that's fine too. I mean, you don't have to, but and not even specific to the Friends. There's another organization that has put the district's name on an event that's community-wide that we didn't even know about.
And an organization outside the local community.
Right.
I mean, it's actually broader than that. It's basically a Burnville organization. So.
Did you want to add something?
Yeah, just, we had no clue either. I just read the flyer today for the very first time.
Yeah.
And it was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Where did this come from?
And it's certainly, we're all going to support it. I mean, most definitely, I would imagine,
Yeah.
but it's nice to not be taken
Hey,
for
well,
granted.
heads up.
Yeah,
Heads
so,
up.
well, it's interesting that we're all in the same boat then.
Okay, good. So next, we'll have it on the agenda next one. Okay.
So
I'm not sure
should that
that
address
addresses
the
the
issue?
issue.
Is someone going to work on, this doesn't resolve our problem that we're talking about on the
Right.
agenda right now.
We need someone to talk to the group that did it. Is that what
No,
you're saying?
this is an internal situation amongst the.
Wouldn't this district require co-sponsorship or?
That's our.
it needs to be defined by somebody.
Does our event contractor have an idea for us?
Yeah, I'd be happy to draft something. I'll work with Diane on it and bring it to the board.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect, thank you. Okay.
I think from, just as a comment, that the part I'm most concerned about is really insurance liability. Like that, we just need to make sure, we need something in advance that's been board approved so that we're covered from a liability perspective if our name is on anything.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Any other? Okay, good. Okay, Brown Act cease and desist letters. Is that where if someone writes a complaint, we have to answer it?
Right.
And we've done that all through the years, but...
The law's changed.
Right.
I'm trying to
Well, the
figure
law
out.
changes that you have to answer the letter, and there has to be some resolution to what they brought up, right?
And you've got 30 days.
30 days.
Right, yeah.
That has never been.
Yeah, so there's, well, I mean, we've always had, when we get something, we always answer it probably within a week when we get it, so there's really no difference. It's just that now it's law, and we'll follow it. And I agree, that's all that's to be said.
Steve, real quick though, just a question. For as long as I've been on the board, I don't know of any such letter that we've had to address, and so...
2010 was the
That's
last
what I
one.
thought.
Yeah, it's been 2 years,
If something
3
comes
years.
up and there's a letter, does it come to the full board?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's what I thought.
And
And
everybody knows-
council, like...
Everybody knows
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, I just didn't have any memory of...
And that's all right, as long as we know about it, follow through. Okay.
Hold on one second, because we did bring this up last time, and then you had seemed to have expressed concern in an email thread later that we didn't resolve it. So what, did we resolve it tonight to your satisfaction?
Well, I think the
Or do you think we
handout
need to
is
do-
very clear that there's a new procedure, and that really needs to be implemented, adopted.
I read that email, Phil, Peter, when you sent it right over to us, because you sent it to the full board, and you attached...
This was attached, you had attached this wasn't last month's packet.
No, this is a letter that came in after I
Okay.
This came in, I was just, I brought early knowledge of this. I knew this was coming.
Got it. Okay.
So,
So you wanted the board to be aware?
yeah, we're all aware. Is there something else you want to say, Peter?
No.
As long as we all know about it. Okay, thank you. Okay, Rush River Memorial Day Fest. Are we going to talk to him later on? Okay, we'll push this on to later. Okay, reports, information, board reports. Did you want a board report, Peter? As your turn.
Well, I've sort of gone through it. We did do a number of events. It focused us on, it would be better to spend quality time now and discuss it with the board, actually. An annual contract so that we have got our...
And you'll do that next meeting.
And we will be presenting, the friends will be bringing one in.
Okay.
Say, okay, take a look at it.
Thank you.
Your turn. I want to let the public know that the directors went through what I feel was a very successful 2-hour board training a couple of weeks ago in Santa Rosa at the Volunteer Center. Lots of things that came up in our training. One was how to be more effective with our public and handling the public comment. And so that's why we're all fresh and new and trying to do this the right way so we can actually make progress. The other big thing that came out of it was that we're working out a code of conduct for the directors that we will be implementing, and I'm hopeful that we're going to be doing this soon. I was under the impression it might have even been something that was on this month's agenda, so maybe for the following month.
We'll have it maybe just...
And a code of conduct for the public, so we can really have result-oriented meetings. So, but I just want to let the public know that we did go through the board training together. Steve?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Can I ask why you guys didn't have it here? Because I would have liked to have attended.
It was a public meeting. It was posted, and we had it at the Volunteer Center because we got...
Actually, can I ask Steve, because that's not answering my question.
Well,
my question is, why wasn't it here?
We saved money.
For many reasons, save money. It was cheaper to have it there than here.
So we all traveled in our own time to Santa Rosa.
We all made time to go in.
I think it would have been nice for the public to have been able to come.
Well, they could have, it was an open
public
meeting.
meeting.
But even said it was a public meeting.
I don't drive.
I didn't drive it.
You can say it's a public meeting, but...
If you had called me, I would have driven you in, you know that.
I think it was also listed as a special meeting, so it only got 24 hours notice.
No.
It was actually 72 hours.
It was 72 hours.
a special meeting, but we had planned it so far in advance that it was posted on the website and here, both places. So, all the directors knew that it was out there, and it was board training in Santa Rosa.
So the public wasn't really welcome, since it was for the board.
I did not say that.
Yes, they were welcome.
No, it was a public meeting, it was posted
Yeah. You've been welcome.
with an agenda.
I'm done, Steve, that's all.
Okay, you have board report? Either of you two? He already did. Okay. Staff report?
Nothing much to report. We're over budget due to county services, which we're still awaiting great, more information from the county and accounting from them. Travel meetings only due to the board training offsite, which we hadn't budgeted for, and really that's it.
I'm going to do it, so I think it's worth a quick clarification, rather than just saying we're over budget. We received an unexpected bill from the county, a bill in arrears like from 2 years ago for services the county was providing to us 2 years ago. And it's a large bill, it's a $10,000.
Almost $12,000.
12,000.
7 or 11.8.
So, but we don't have enough information. I just want to give you, that's what we know today, and we're still digging into it because we have different questions about why it's only coming now and whether it should really be the size that it is and whether it's appropriate and all of that. So Diane's still digging, but I wanted to give a little bit more detail on that.
And while the topic is being over budget, we had discussed, but it's not in our policies, in our bylaws. We didn't put anything in the bylaws about this yet, but so we sort of have a consensus opinion that any area that's runs 5% over annual budget should be discussed or brought up to the board or something.
That's why we're bringing it up.
And we have a column on our budget report that we get every month. The far right column is percentage over total budget. And currently there are 12 items that are over budget for the year. We've still got 3 months to go. Should they be discussed? Should they be on the agenda?
Well, the budget committee is going to talk.
I will talk about it at budget committee, and if you're not satisfied that the report out from the budget committee meeting that just reviewed these numbers isn't enough, then let's continue that conversation then. Is that okay?
I thought the conversation that we had and the agreement that was made had to do with committee spending, and it had to do with spending for items, and that any item that we were going to spend that exceeded the 5%, we would go for board vote. It wasn't a discussion on where we are today and where we're already over budget. And Katrina had further explained that basically she was talking about like there's certain categories. You can put things like, you've got like 5 different payroll items, but your payroll is under budget. You've got, maintenance, and you're granulizing it, and you've got maintenance. So that was my understanding of what was discussed in the meeting. So what I'm saying is where we stand today, these few budget exceptions, like I say, I'm telling you, just informing you, it's not, up for a vote because the county looked and took the money, but nonetheless, yes, we're over budget here.
So
we don't have many areas of concern.
I'm not saying that we need to take action on things. I'm just saying that in order to link the 5% rule in the budget column that's published on our report, there should be some meaningful cross-play between them.
And in the budget committee meeting, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
2 more items.
Just
Okay.
to complete, let me finish. I want to respond first to when I'm done. If it still hasn't satisfied you, I believe it is the budget committee's job to look at those variances in detail, talk about them with staff, and come back to the board and bring the ones to your attention that are of note. The 5% thing I think is different. So I think those are mixing apples and oranges. Let's talk about that further though in the budget.
Yes.
Okay, Don, independent contractor, do you have any report?
This is small. I just wanted to give the board an update on a summer contract. We're booking the weekend out pretty well. We're actually getting Sunday bookings as well as Saturdays for wedding. The cleanup's going to be interesting. There's also been a few minor updates to the website, taking things down that are like Pilates classes, updating it with what the schedule actually is, and trying to get both Spanish class and the pottery information up as they would like it posted and with contact information. So that's coming along, and the facilities use agreement is going to updated and made some changes to. If I can finally get it to facilities committee hopefully in the next month or so, just some tweaking to it that needs to be updated and some new themes that need to be clearer, things like that. So that's about it.
Thank you. Okay, now budget committee.
Okay. So if everybody would turn to their budget, I want to, I'll use this, I apologize if it seems like I'm repeating something I've already said, but I know budgets, we really don't deal with them all the time, it can be intimidating. So as we do budget analysis to see where we are both on the revenue side and expense side, what we've had, Diane, thank you very much for doing it, add in is the far right two columns is what I want to draw your attention to. So what we now have in front of us includes the total 12-13 budget as approved by the board, as well as the percentage of that total that has been expended or received to date. So just as a point of reference, so every month we'll be able to say this percent should have been spent in this month of the year. So as of right now, we would be at 75% because there will be 3 budget months remaining, right? So that then gives us the tool to go down the page and pretty much and kind of do it at a quick glance to be able to see where we are versus where we should be, over or under on either revenues or expenses. In the revenue section, there's actually really nothing extraordinary to call out here, except that we were perhaps a little bit overly aggressive on our beach income anticipated revenue. If we've only gotten 75% of it, with really only the month of June coming in as revenue in the remainder of this year, we might have been a little bit off on that one. But if you go down and look at for example, the 250%, 51 and 55% on the tax revenue, it looks like we're ahead on those because we've received half of our payment for the year. The other half will come in later. So it looks like it will balance out. There's really nothing to worry about on the revenue side. But then you're also going to see these numbers and this tool next month. We'll actually be coming back with our kind of draft budget because we need to be submitting our 13-14 budget to the county. So you'll be seeing these numbers again, and you'll be seeing some assumptions based on these numbers. Just kind of a heads up. To go through expenses and extraordinary expenses, on payroll, it's typically a good idea on payroll to look at payroll total, the total line versus the individual lines, because we make different decisions and there's different fluctuations inside of that, as well as seasonality. So if you were to look at the payroll expense total, we're right spot on at 75%. And Diane, do you have any anticipated change, anything else that you see coming related to payroll that's extraordinary? Okay. On the office expense line, you'll see, let's just look at the wrap-up line at the bottom of office expenses. We're at 41%, which means we've underspent per budget. And there's a couple that are really high, like postage. Diane explained that she basically pre-purchases postage in big chunks in advance. So that's so there's really nothing extraordinary in any of those costs. Janitorial and supplies, you'll notice, is very low. It's underspent to date. But we just hired a janitor, so that we're going to be spending that much faster than we have been. So we can discuss that. On repairs and maintenance, this is an important one, and I don't know if it really falls under the facilities committee report to give more detail on it. But essentially, we show some pretty significant underspending there. We've only spent about 27% of the funds that were budgeted for repairs and maintenance. But almost all of it, all but 10,000 of it is basically promised to something else getting ready for the beach for the summer. So
another thing to point out too is that we are cyclical with our maintenance as well. We have very little grounds maintenance to do in the off season. Now we have to do it again.
So you have to do a little bit of mental gymnastics sometimes because of the seasonal nature of our business. Utilities, Diane has pointed out that utilities are coming in higher, but particularly water. The water bill, the water rates are higher than what was anticipated. So we can account for this going into next year's budget. We'll take our new knowledge of the cost of water and how much propane are being used at facilities, et cetera. But that one was out of our control. The cost of water came in higher. But the overall utilities line isn't dramatically off. It's not outlandish, we're at 80% versus 75%.
Well, these are also very fluctuating in that we beat projections on the revenue side for facilities as well as beach. When we go up in revenue, you have to expect those costs to incrementally.
Yeah, that's a good point. So marketing, this would be a good time to point out to the marketing and public outreach committee that of the 5,000, 1,600 has been spent, so there's room there for some additional expenditures. There's been discussions in that committee of items that they'd like to see happen. The event manager line is a direct relationship to the events that occur, so that's really not, that being at a higher percentage isn't really a variance, it's a direct proportion to the revenue side of our business in renting out our facilities. Professional services, that was the gross over spending compared to budget that we were talking about, the line 6521, county services bookkeeping, where they basically took a big chunk of money before we even got it, as a bill that they're saying is for the 10-11 fiscal year.
We're not,
So
yeah,
we're working,
not
so we're working on it. You should be, as board members, you should be concerned to see something at 536% of budget. That should jump off the page at you. And we're looking into it. It wasn't an expense that we knew was coming, so we couldn't have budgeted for it if it indeed is an accurate one. And we'll have to figure out how to find some other cost savings in the budget to make up for it. The audit came in a little bit higher than the original number, but we're done paying on that for the year, so it's not going to go any higher. There's no more spending that will occur on that line. I'm looking down.
We just chopped the last one in half before we got our audit piece in. So.
Yeah. In terms of total expenses, and when you come down to the total 6,300 expense line, we're right at about 75%. And if you're to look at the bottom line, so the bottom line for the district, where we should be as of March would be a negative 30,000 based on cash flow.
That's
yeah.
how
and where we are, and where we are is at 7,400. So we're still in a good position, even though there are these kind of extraordinary things happening. We're still in a good position as a district. We still anticipate the revenues coming in to support more than our expenses. So nothing to be worried about. But, certainly some things to pay attention to.
Questions?
So Peter, I want to make sure, because I really, I want to make sure that you're getting the financial reporting that.
You didn't mention electric, you didn't mention the utilities.
I wrapped it all into the utilities conversation. So what would you like?
And travel and meetings.
That is because of the board training.
Okay.
We didn't budget for that. I gave you that in my report. And as we had said before, the electricity, propane, anything like that, Peter, it's completely scalable with the revenue we receive. When we rent the facilities, we use a lot more of all that stuff. So, it's very scalable in that way.
So in order to clarify, Peter, the distinction between what you mentioned to your question earlier about a 5% variance, that concept, versus how we report variances to budget on an overall, or in these cost categories, I'd actually like that to be an agenda item for the next, because I think I'd like to prepare for that and think about it a little bit more. So we had agreed, and I don't know if we voted. Yeah.
And what do you do if it is? So, we went over some of the items here and said, okay, well, we can't control that one, or we can control this one, but it's over with the year or something like that. So
yeah.
There needs to be what action is taken when it goes over.
Yeah.
Variance reporting, every month we report on the
yeah.
variance.
Yeah, so
we always have.
I'd like it to come up at the next meeting. I'd like to just put a little recommendation.
It's a policy guideline.
Yeah, to set a policy guideline on that so that what you're expecting as board members from the budget committee is clear from to the budget committee, and that it's actually a policy that we report with X dollar overage or X percent overage and all that.
Oh, and hopefully tie up the loose ends that there is no committee that but maybe there should be some sort of a master guideline.
Can you clarify what you mean?
Well,
I don't understand your
the policy that we made, see in the minutes, is that it's by committee.
That's
Okay,
spending
I-
under committee, that's a little
I don't know that
different
that's the right way to do it. It
No,
probably
that-
should be more by budget category.
So, yeah, well, yeah, different line items have different account, who's accountable for spending them?
GA, et cetera, it can't, it's not committee ruled or governed or.
So when you tie these together and tie them into this kind of thing somehow, then it would be good to say, incorporate into the policy, who's
Where the
responsible,
oversight
who
for it.
speaks for this, who speaks for payroll, who speaks for utilities. And then may not be a clear answer. It may be that, well, some of them are this way.
Yeah,
some are
no, I see what you mean. Okay, so I'm going to take a stab at a recommendation for that. We'll talk about it at the budget level, budget committee level, and then we'll actually have it as a discussion item
Okay.
next time.
Is that your report?
No, I'm not done, sorry. Thank you. So the budget committee would like to request that all of the both standing or ad hoc committees that have expenses that they know they're going to be meeting for 13-14, that you have your anticipated or desired expenses submitted to staff by May 8th. So it's a month from today. We figured that gave everybody a chance to at least have a regular meeting and add that to your agenda. That will then give us as a budget committee and staff a chance to kind of incorporate that and start talking about it. In order to approve a final budget, we may need to do a special meeting in May, just because of the timing of everything. So May 8th deadline.
And you said even the ad hoc committees?
Even the ad hoc committee should give an idea of expenses in 13-14 that they anticipate.
And the two ad hoc committees are
Ad hoc is
safety and life.
Safety's not an ad hoc committee anymore.
It's a real, it's
Well, is it in the bylaws?
We just had this conversation a half hour ago.
she just,
Either
she reported on that.
Yeah, ad hoc or standing at whatever point in time, any expenditures. Now I think I am done.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Facilities grant.
So the May 8th deadline.
Yeah, May.
The May deadline, all committees, standing and ad hoc.
Big new.
Good.
I'm going to start with the beach. Sure. So we've been talking about a number of things at facilities committee. The two big topics have been Creekside Park, that we'll talk about, and then the other one has been the beach setup for the spring. And just as a little bit of a context, because I think not all board members were on board when all the new permitting requirements have come into play. But basically, historically, the rec park has permits that are acquired for utilization of the beach in the summer through Department of Fish and Game, the Army Corps of Engineers, and the State Department of Water Quality Control. So those permits have been long-standing and are renewed kind of on a 5-year basis. In 2011, they were all renewed. In 2009,